Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is the third video in the integration series of UiPath apps, UiPath data services and UiPath Orchestrator. I would request you to watch the video 1 and video 2 of the integration series. If you haven't watched already, then only this video will make more sense. So starting with the third video, let's see the agenda for this video. Today we are going to query the entities which we have already created in the data services in the second video. Post that we'll complete the code in the UiPath Studio. So the completing of the code, which means that we'll complete the code for getting the data from the website, putting all the data into the data services, getting each and every record from the data services, doing the manipulation and getting the final output here. Then after which we'll map all the input or output arguments which are required by the process, and once everything is done we'll publish the package to the orchestrator. In the last video we have seen that we have two workflow which we have created to extract the data from the website, and we were successfully able to push the data in the two data services which we have created. So if I go here, the record count is 53. Now in this video we are going to see how to retrieve the data for the specific currency which we have to query the data. So if I again go back to the arguments, so we have three input arguments. So the user will provide the source date, destination date that will query and get the data. Next, the user will also provide the currency whose data I have to get it from the source and the destination. So for example, if the user provided currency, let's say euro, right? So I have to go to the source rate, I have to get the currency rate for euro, that is 0.8259 something. Then for the same currency I have to again go to the destination rate, go to the data and get the again rate for the euro, and then we have to compare both the rates and then give the final output to the user. So for that we have to do is we have to query the data services. So in this video we are going to see how we can query exactly the data services. So let's start. I go to design, I'll create a new sequence. I'll call this sequence as query the source. Correct the spelling, query the source, hit create. Okay, save everything. I go to activity. To query the records, we have an activity which I call the query entity records. I drag and drop it to my editor, and the next thing it will ask me for the entity. So we are querying the source entity, so I'll confirm the source record rates here, save everything. And why we are getting here, because we have already imported the entities in the manage entities. Okay, so I have a dedicated video where I am giving each and every detail on how to query the entity records. So that is visible on my YouTube channel as a playlist of data services. I'll provide the link in the description. Please follow that one to have a detailed description of all these activities. Okay, next we have to query the entity record. So what is the condition? So we want to filter it for the currency, where the currency equals, let's say, as of now let me just hard code it to euro. Okay, and later on we'll just provide it with an argument. And for the output record I'll hit Ctrl K and create a variable of output records. Now let's go to the variables and we will see our output record variable is created. Now you will see the data type is list of source rate. Okay, so whenever we query a data we are getting a list of source rate. Okay, so how do we get a single item from the list? So if you'll see here in the source rate, so whenever we query this data service for the rate euro, so chances are there we might have more than 1 euro, right? So how do we get that? So as of now for this demo what we'll do is we'll always get the latest euro. Okay, so how can we extract the data from the list? So for that what I'll do is I will take an assign activity here and I will just create a variable. I'll call it euro rate. Let's just change the variable type to string. It's already string. Okay, and now to get the first item from the list what we have to do is we go to properties and the list name is output records dot first dot default, and we get the price. So what is the price? the price is available in the rate field dot toString. Okay, so let's cross verify. If I go to the data services, and for the data, the field is available in the rate, so we can take the reverse rate, currency, and every field is available here. So we want to get the rate or dot toString. Okay, so one thing here, as of now what we are doing is we are just getting the first record from the data services. We can easily imply a for each loop on this list, write a business logic to get the data. We can do a date comparison and then get the euro rate. So that is all possibility here, right? So that we can accomplish with the set of logic. But for this demo, what we are doing is whatever the rate we are getting in the first place, we'll just fetch the record. Okay, so next let me just take a write line and try to print the euro rate, which is of type string. Okay, save everything. Let's see what is happening in the workflow. So we are querying the entity records and we have hard coded the currency to euro, and we are currencing the source rate. So we are telling UiPath to go to the data service of source rate, fetch the entire record for euro and give us the rate. Okay, so this is the rate. So whenever we run this flow, the expectation is we should get 0.825619, this number in UiPath Studio. Okay, and next what we are doing is whatever the output records are there, UiPath will filter the first record and give us the rate dot toString, and then we are printing this one. Okay, let's save everything and run the file. Okay, bot is executing, it's completed. Let's go to the output, and we are successfully able to get the number in the UiPath Studio. Okay, so this is awesome. Now let's just remove the hard coding from the workflow. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take two arguments here. One would be the input argument. I'll call it input underscore currency for the rates, and next we'll have an output argument. Okay, let me just delete the extra argument here, and the next we'll have an output argument that will be consisting of the rate, output rates from the source. Okay, so this will be a type of out argument. Save everything, and in the currency rate here, now what we'll do is instead of the hard coding value, we'll just pass the argument here in of the currency rate. Hit okay, and will the euro rate, right? So output of the euro rate will now go in the out of rate source. Okay, save everything. So good practice, what we can do is we can just click on the remove unused variables, and it will remove the extra variables which we don't require from the workflow. This workflow is completed. Let's go to the main and now just invoke the workflow. So I can just invoke it here, import arguments. Now the currency rate, currency would be the source currency, and where we have the currency, if we go to the arguments, the currency is in currency in the main, right? So we go here and we type the currency rate to in currency, and for the output, let's just leave it blank as of now. Okay, hit okay. Why we are getting an error? Okay, now with the same thing we have to do for the destination source as well, but since this is only one workflow, so similarly what we can do is we can just make a copy of this workflow, go to here, paste it, and we'll just rename this to query the destination. Hit okay, and now we go to the project, open the query destination .xaml, and now instead of the source rate, now we will select the entity to the destination rate. Save everything, and now this output record, right? So the output record previously was of the type list of source rate. Now it will be, we'll just change it to the list of that guy. So what we can do is we can all copy this. I'll just delete this one from here. I'll delete this variable from here. It's not deleting. Let's go here, hit Control K, Control V. Okay, and it will automatically create a variable with the exact data type. Okay, seems good. So what would happen is it would query the destination rate, whatever rate we provide, it will filter the first record and give us the rate. Okay, now let's go back to the main workflow, and now we just drag and drop the query destination, and now let's map the argument here. So now here we'll pass the same currency rate, so that is in of currency. So how UiPath will know that which entity I have to query? So we have specified the entity here in the source rate. Okay, so this looks good, this looks good. Okay, and now let's go ahead and create two variable for the rate. So I'll go here, I'll hit Control K, and I'll type final rate for the source. Hit OK. Similarly, for the destination workflow, I'll create a final rate for destination. Okay, hit OK. And if I go to the variables, now I would have two variables, final rate, source and destination. So that will give me the final rate for the query which we are querying the entity record for. Okay, so the last part is we have an output argument in the main, so we have to set that. So I can go ahead and take an assign activity, and in the output argument, so which is output argument, out underscore final output, so we can go here and type out final output, and we'll just give it a nice form of string. So we'll just type a string. We'll type the rate difference for the currency, and now we'll type the currency. The currency is currency. Okay, and then we type the difference for the currency is, and we can just subtract that one. Okay, okay, so before that, first thing we'll subtract. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's just take an one more assign activity here and just take the difference. So I'll just type a variable Control K and type here difference. So this variable will accommodate the difference of the currencies. So we could have done that thing in the final output, but that will be a bit messy, so I like it this way. So the difference will be now of type integer 32. Okay, and okay, so it would not be integer 32, we are getting the value in point, so it would be of type decimal actually. So we will go to browse for types and we'll type here decimal and system.decimal. Okay, next what we have to do is we have to subtract the two values. So the two values are final rate destination minus final rate source, but we cannot do that because these two are of the type string. So convert dot to decimal, and this one similarly minus, and we'll type here convert dot to decimal to the destination. Okay, I think I messed up something. Let's check final rate for destination, and okay, this DST went here. Okay, hit OK. So let's see what we are trying to do here. So I have created a variable of type difference. The difference type is a decimal variable. I go to this property and I am converting both the string variables to the decimal and then subtracting them, and now we just print the final output. The rate difference of the currency is, just print the variable here. So what was the variable? Difference. Okay, we can, okay, why? Because we have not passed the toString. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's just print the source and the destination rates also. Okay, so we go ahead, hit source rate, just put a space here, nice formatting. Source rate as, what was the source rate? Final rate for source. And similarly we'll hit a string concatenation and we'll write here and we'll type destination rate is equal to plus of final rate of destination. What happened here? Dick. So we forgot to put a plus here. Okay, looks good. Let's just cross verify the final output. The rate difference for the currency is this, the difference variable, and the source is this, and the destination is this. Okay, let's save everything and let's try to run this flow. And before we publish, let's put a right line here and just type the final output. So this would be the final output, and let's just execute the flow for 10th and 11th. That's good. Okay, save the workflow. Okay, so what we can also do is, instead of, we have already tested this flow, we can just disable this guy. We can disable this guy also, and we can just test this workflow for directly for querying the data services. So what will happen is, it will query the data services, get us the results, and print the final output. Okay, we go ahead and run the file. It's executed. Let's go back to UiPath Studio. Assign object reference is not set to an instance of an object. Which object reference? Let's go back to main. Put arguments. Okay, let's run debug the file. Okay, so why this error? Because the output record is not having any data. So if I go to the locals and if I go to the rates, list of rates, so this string was null, right? Okay, so why this string was null? Because there was nothing to compare. And why there was nothing to compare? Because if I go to the arguments, the currency, we have not provided any currency, right? So we have forgot that currency, euro. Okay, so now if it is a real world automation, what we have to do is, we should handle this by a try catch block. We should first query the entity record whether the record is available or not, and if the record is not available, we should gracefully close the application with the help of exception handling. Okay, so as of now, just keep it like this. I will just go to the arguments, and in the euro I have passed the variable, and now let's run the file. Fingers crossed. Let it execute. Okay, it's executed. Let's go to the output, and you will see the rate difference for the currency euro is 0.345. The source rate was this and the destination rate was this, and we were successfully able to get the difference. Okay, let me just enable this guy. Let me just enable this guy also. Okay, so seems like our sequence is ready to be put into Orchestrator. So one more thing, I would just like to add a log message. So I'll go here and I will just add an log message activity. So that will just log the output in the Orchestrator as well. I will keep it to info label, and I will just type the final output. Okay, let's do a high level exception handling here. I will just right click this guy and surround with a try catch block, and then the catch, if any type of exception is there, we would just like to log a message, and this would be an error, and I would the exception dot toString. Okay, so now I guess my workflow is ready to be published to the UiPath Orchestrator. Okay, this looks good. Let's go to publish. It will check for the validation errors. Okay, and this is my package name. The version looks good. Hit next and publish. Okay, its package is successfully published to Orchestrator. Let's go back to the UiPath automation, UiPath Cloud Orchestrator. I am in my default tenant, so let me just go to the tenant, and this is the tenant. If I go to the packages, so this is the package we have just deployed to the Orchestrator. So now if we go ahead and view the versions, and if I just check the arguments, so these are the 3 arguments and we have 1 argument. So what would happen is, whenever we run the process and we provide these 3 arguments, we should get the output value here, right? So that is all for this video. So in this video we have seen that how we have successfully completed the complete process in UiPath Studio, and the same process is now available in the UiPath Orchestrator as well. So I'll wrap up this video here. Stay tuned for the next video where we will try to run the process from UiPath Studio, and then we'll try to connect this process with the UiPath apps. So that is all for this video. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please do subscribe to the channel, and happy automation.